Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Andrew Young, and today for communication, we'll be going over our practice speech number two. It's a presentation, and I'm doing mine about the different type of gestures and body gestures, but just overall gestures in general. So the first thing is hand gestures. The second one that we'll talk about is descriptive gestures. I think that one's one of my favorite. And next is emotional gestures. These are a very good way to get to to get the audience to understand how you feel and everything, your emotion. Suggestive gestures. I don't really use those too much. However, I do think those are they can be very well as well. And last but not least is by far my favorite, which is prompting gestures. So now let's get into it. So first, our descriptive gestures. So obviously, there's many different type of gestures, from body language to hand gestures to just everything when it comes to public speaking. And it's you want to get familiar with everything, so it's important to understand it and get familiar right away. So descriptive gestures are important because you could use them to describe a situation. Say if you want to describe, maybe let's just say a pencil, you could, it was small, skinny, or a book, you could just say, oh yeah, it was this big, this small. I lost it. Have you seen it? Just that big. And real simple. Once again, as long as you do any type of hand gestures to keep the audience's attention, it's pretty good. And it always helped for me too, while growing up, and I like it. So next is emotional gestures. These are these are good. These are good because it it gives the audience how it displays how you feel to the audience. So basically, a good example of this is showing body language that's sad or angry in a situation to describe a situation. And I think this is good because, say if you're upset, you could show, like, facial expressions that are angry, or if you're sad, you could have a distraught face, leaning over, just like, man, just really really sad. But they'll get the understanding of it, and I think that's why emotional gestures are good, and they stick out a lot because it describes like how the speaker is feeling. And as a listener, I always want to get the most from a public speaker, and see what I can learn from it. So I think emotional gestures are important. Suggestive gestures, haven't I haven't got too familiar with them. My what I could tell you about suggestive gestures, or I see them a lot in church. Um, people in the audience, they'll open their hands, or open their palms, to just as a sign of welcoming, or like, just that type of stuff, or giving. I'm not too familiar with it, but I do definitely want to learn more. I have to I have to definitely look up more on that, because overall I think I mostly see it the most in public speakers in like church and stuff like that. But it's very good, and I like it. Last is prompting gestures. So these are cool. These are by far the coolest. Gives your audience a chance to participate with you while you're speaking. I enjoy them because the audience normally likes to be involved. And I don't know about you, but if you go to a public speaker and they're not making you involved, sometimes you might get a little distracted or anything. So if you can involve the audience, it's cool. And a good example of this is asking a question, and raising your hand. Who's with me? How many people are with me? And then you'll get more of the audience that, they'll back you up, and they'll raise their hand too, and they'll feel comfortable. So I think that's a very good, a good gestures, prompting gestures, and by far my favorite, by far. And the importance of hand and body gestures, they're proven to be very effective while communicating with others. Also, some gestures have different meanings throughout the world, so you always have to be careful. Like, for America, thumbs up it means you're doing good. Other places might not be the same, so just always be, a little careful about that. And the next is hand gestures. They keep the audience's attention. Who wants to have a boring speaker? You want someone that's fun to talk to, nice, that you could relate to, and that moves around and talks and gets people involved and asks you a question. That's a good public speaker. And lastly, some of the hand gestures have helped American Sign Language with a few gestures for sign language. I thought that was kind of unique. I never knew about that, but you learn something new every day. And that'll conclude my presentation. My reference page is right there, and that'll be it. Thank you, class. Have a good day.